Wait, so get this ready. We've got George Carlin, Elon Musk, and God all walking into a hair transplant clinic.
Hmm.
It's not a joke. It's kind of a joke, but it's from this satirical piece called Testo Incalado.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
yeah, no, even the title is a bit out there,
Yeah.
but trust me on this one, okay? Because this whole bizarre setup, it's actually like this really clever commentary
Right.
on like wealth and power and how we see, public figures.
Oh, that's interesting. That's the thing about satire, right? Like it takes something totally absurd and it like forces you to think about the world in a different way.
Exactly. And so in this piece, they set up Carlin as like this, total cynic,
Mm-hmm.
which honestly, like perfect casting.
Yes.
And he is just going at Elon Musk, like really ripping into his wealth, everything he does.
Mhm.
There's this one part where he compares Musk's fortune to like Croesus, like that ancient king
Right.
known for being unbelievably rich.
I see, yeah. That comparison is really doing a lot of work there, I think. It's not just about the money, right?
Yeah.
It's like it's hinting at this pattern of wealth leading to, hubris, and then ultimately it will fall from grace.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like it's asking us, is Musk going to be another one of those stories?
Oh, okay, that's dark.
Yeah.
And it's not even the only like dig that Carlin takes at Musk. He brings up the 2016 election and Musk's supposed role in it, which is
Oh,
a whole other thing.
yeah, that's a loaded topic for sure. And I think by bringing that up, the piece is tapping into this whole idea of like power dynamics, right? Especially in politics. It's
Yeah.
using humor to make us think about like who's really in control
Hmm.
and how much influence do people like Musk actually have behind the scenes, I mean.
Okay, so we have Carlin as like the voice of cynicism here, going after all of this, Musk's wealth and power.
Uh-huh.
But then things take this ironic turn. The piece describes Musk having this financial hiccup, which, like, on the surface, it's hilarious.
Right.
Because, hello, this is Elon Musk.
Exactly.
One of the richest people, like, on the planet.
Yeah, the irony is definitely there, and it's totally on purpose,
Yeah.
This financial hiccup that they're talking about, it's actually based on something that happened.
Really?
Yeah, so a Judge Kathleen McCormick, she struck down Musk's huge Tesla pay deal.
Oh, wow.
This wasn't like small money.
Yeah.
It was a deal that could made him like astronomically more wealthy.
So it's not just a random funny detail.
No.
It's based on reality.
Yeah, exactly.
But what does it mean? Like, is it just making fun of Musk, or is there more to it?
I think it goes deeper than just, making fun of him.
Okay.
I think by talking about this financial hiccup, they're kind of subtly pointing out just how unequal things are.
Yeah.
Like economically, I mean,
Uh-huh.
it's almost like saying, look, even billionaires have problems,
Yeah.
but their problems are totally different from what normal people have to deal with, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So we've got this theme of like wealth, power, and now this like economic inequality,
Right.
all in this satire. But then it gets even weirder. They bring in this visual of Musk wearing a Napoleon hat.
Oh.
Like what is that about? Is it about clothes? Or is there something more going on?
Oh, it's definitely not a fashion statement. The Napoleon hat is a pretty powerful symbol, right? I mean, you
Uh-huh.
think of Napoleon, you think
Right.
ambition, conquest, maybe even like a bit of megalomania.
Mhm.
So are they saying that Musk sees himself as like a modern day Napoleon?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Especially because later on, Carlin makes a comment about Musk conquering Twitter.
Yeah.
Like they're playing with this idea of Musk's ambitions just being too big.
Yeah, yeah.
But buying a social media company, it's not the same as like conquering countries, is it?
Well, that's kind of the whole point, right?
Oh, yeah.
They're using exaggeration and historical parallels to make us really think about what Musk is doing and why he's doing it, right? Like, is buying Twitter actually a good thing? Or is it just about his ego and getting more power?
Yeah, it feels like they want us to look deeper, to question what we're being told,
Exactly.
But then things get like philosophical. Out of nowhere, God just mentions Napoleon losing at Waterloo. And that's like a pretty heavy image to drop in here.
Yeah.
Is this foreshadowing? Is Musk going to fail?
Well, that's the great thing about satire. It doesn't always give you all the answers. It lets you decide. So on one hand, yeah, you could see it as a warning, right? Like Musk's ambition is going to be his downfall, just like Napoleon.
Okay.
But it could also be a more general statement,
I'll go to.
about how nothing lasts forever. Like even power and success,
Hmm.
Maybe that's a lesson that we all should remember, even Musk.
Wow, that's pretty deep for a scene in a hair transplant clinic.
Right.
But then, just when you think it can't get any weirder, they throw in this last line. Carlin says that the judge, Judge Kathleen, the one who stopped Musk's pay deal, she might actually be his Waterloo.
Huh. That's funny. And kind of makes you think, too.
Right.
On the surface, it's just poking fun at all the legal trouble Musk's been having.
Yeah.
But it also makes you ask, can these legal challenges, all this public attention, can that actually stop someone as rich and powerful as Musk?
Right.
Or are those just like small bumps in the road for him?
Wow, that's a question that goes way beyond just Elon Musk, I think.
Totally.
It's about, like, if people are actually held accountable.
Yeah.
And about justice and about, systems that are supposed to keep powerful people in check.
Yeah, and that's what makes this satirical piece so interesting. It's not just about making fun of Musk. It's about using humor to look at these complicated problems in our society and to make us question, like, the very foundations of our world.
So we've got satire, we've got history, philosophy, even some courtroom drama, and it's all happening in a hair transplant clinic.
Exactly.
That's a lot to think about. And honestly, we've just scratched the surface here.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot more to unpack. I mean, this piece is full of little details and hidden meanings. Each one gives you a different way to think about wealth, power, and what it means to be human. It's amazing how this piece, Testo Incolado, can use humor to, like, critique people like Elon Musk, but also make us think about bigger problems,
Right. And one thing that really struck me was the setting. Like, a hair transplant clinic. It's so normal, so everyday. And then you have these huge figures like Carlin, Musk, even God just hanging out there.
Yeah, I think that was really clever of the author. Like, by putting them in this ordinary place, it makes them seem more human, right?
Yeah, it's like even billionaires and deities, they have the same insecurities.
Right.
And speaking of insecurities, this whole thing about Musk and his hair loss, like, he's freaking out about his Napoleon hat coming off, both literally and, like, metaphorically.
Yeah. That obsession with the Napoleon hat is really interesting, It says a lot about how we see ourselves, especially now with social media. Like, is Musk worried about his legacy? Or is he more worried about what people will think about his hairline?
Yeah, it's like they're making fun of that very human thing,
Yeah.
wanting to control how other people see us.
Oh, yeah, totally. And it's not just Musk, right?
Right.
It's a lot of powerful people.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder, does that, like, obsession with their image get in the way of them doing their jobs?
That's a good question.
Like, do they even see the real effects of what they're doing?
And then there's that part where Musk flips out when he finds out his payment didn't go through. You almost think he's going to, like, snap his fingers and fix everything, but he can't.
Right, that moment when he's powerless, that's so important to the satire. Because here you have this super rich, super influential guy, and he's used to getting whatever he wants. And suddenly, there's this thing he can't control.
Yeah, it's like the universe is like, nope, not today.
Right, and it's all because of something as silly as hair loss, which, I mean, we've all been there, right?
Yeah, like banging your head against the wall.
Exactly, and that's what makes it so funny and relatable. They take these big, important things and put them next to something totally ordinary.
Right.
It makes you laugh, but it also makes you think about how you deal with those moments in your own life.
Yeah, like, are we any different from Musk when things don't go our way?
Exactly.
Oh.
Do we handle it well, or do we throw a tantrum?
So, remember how we talked about God being in this?
Yeah.
Honestly, I was surprised by how they wrote God's voice.
Oh, what were you expecting?
I thought God would be, I don't know, more judgmental, like saying who's right and wrong.
Oh, okay.
But instead, God's just kind of watching, almost like amused, but also a little worried.
Interesting. I see God as more of like a way to see the bigger picture.
Oh,
Remember that line about Napoleon losing at Waterloo?
yeah.
That's not God saying Musk is going to fail.
Oh.
It's more like, hey, look what happened to Napoleon. Maybe you should chill out a bit.
So it's a warning, but not like a punishment.
Right. It's like a little nudge from the universe.
Yeah, like, hey, remember you're human.
Exactly.
But okay, let's get back to satire.
Okay.
We know it can show hypocrisy and make us question things.
Yeah.
But can it actually change things in the real world? Or is it just entertainment?
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
It's hard to say for sure how much satire actually affects things. It's not like a protest or something.
But it can change how people see things, right? Like The Daily Show, SNL, They make fun of politicians, and that affects how people think about them.
Oh, absolutely. Satire is a way to comment on society. It starts conversations, makes people question things, and maybe even plants the seeds for change. It might not lead to immediate action, but it can get the ball rolling.
And sometimes that's all it takes, right? Like a joke can turn into a movement.
It can, but we can't think of satire as a solution to everything, you know?
Right.
It's not going to fix all the problems.
Yeah, but it can hold powerful people accountable, right? And make us think critically about the world.
Absolutely.
So it's not just about laughing at Elon Musk.
No.
It's about using humor to talk about serious stuff.
Yeah.
And to encourage us to be more informed.
Yeah, like laugh, but also think, and maybe even do something about it.
I like that. Laugh, think, act.
Exactly. And I think that leads perfectly into our final thoughts on this piece and on the power of satire.
So we've spent all this time, like, really digging into Testo and Colato.
Yeah.
This weird story about Carlin, Musk, and God at a hair transplant clinic. It's been a wild ride, right?
It really has. From Napoleon hats to power dynamics to the role of satire, it's been, well, a lot.
Yeah. It's a lot to take in. But I think it's time to, like, sum it all up. Like, what's the takeaway? Why should we, the listeners, even care about this?
You know, I think the big thing here is that satire can show us serious stuff in a way that regular news just can't. It uses humor and exaggeration to, like, cut through all the noise.
Right.
And makes us pay attention to things we might otherwise miss.
Yeah, it's like if you can make someone laugh, you can make them think. And maybe that thinking leads to action.
Totally. And this piece, it's using satire to talk about some pretty heavy things, right?
That's what?
Like how wealth isn't equal, how people worship figures like Musk, and how dangerous ambition can be. But it does it in a way that's fun and also makes you think.
It also shows that nobody is above being made fun of.
Right.
Not even the richest guy in the world. Or God, in this case.
Exactly. It levels the playing field. Satire has always been about going after the powerful, and this piece is a great example of that.
It reminds us that even the most powerful people, they're not untouchable.
Yeah.
And I think it makes us better at figuring out what's true and what's not, especially these days, with so much information coming at us from everywhere.
Right. You've got news, opinions, propaganda, all mixed up. Satire helps us figure out what's real and what's fake.
So it's like training for our brains. The more satire we see, the better we are at understanding the world.
Exactly. It's about questioning things, seeing the motives behind things, and not just believing everything you see or hear.
So we have to be skeptical, but not cynical.
Right. Find that balance. You know, even though this Testo and Colato piece can be dark and funny at the same time, I think it ultimately gives us hope.
Hope.
Yeah, because satire, even when it's making fun of things, can be a force for good.
I see. Because if we can laugh at something, it means we haven't given up on it.
Right.
We still believe things can get better.
Well said. And I think that's a great place to wrap things up.
So to everyone listening, next time you see satire, don't just laugh it off. Take a second to think about what it's saying, what it's trying to make you feel.
Yeah, you might be surprised by what you learn.
Exactly. And remember, a good laugh can help you see the world in a new way. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Testo and Colato and the world of satire. We'll see you next time for another exploration of the ideas that shape our world